room for the TV.
What a nice man you are. All right, Tim is here. Let's see, Tim, Steve. All right, everybody's pretty much here. So here we go, 7:30 p.m. Welcome everybody to the September 13th, 2022 edition of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to welcome two members of the Rockland Planning Board, Mr. Michael Corbett and Ms. Christine McPherson. We were going to do a joint meeting tonight, so things are going to have to change a little bit, and I'll let them explain. So let me do this. Let me remind everybody that tonight's meeting is being recorded and will be televised on YouTube, so be aware of that. And all members of the zoning board are participating remotely. That would be Mr. Tanzi, myself, Mr. Rosa, Mr. Baker Jr., Mr. Baker Sr., Mr. Haynes, and Mr. Galley. So,
Rob, our new member.
oh, where's the new member? Where's the new member?
Nicole's down the corner.
Nicole,
Hi, everyone.
how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. What was your last name, Nicole?
Clement Gomez.
Clement Gomez?
Yeah,
Okay. Is that a Miss or a Mrs.?
Miss.
Miss Clement Gomez. I try to keep things relatively professional when it comes to naming. So let's go on that. And again, everybody from the zoning board, welcome Nicole. Thank you. All right. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Got a motion? Need a second?
I'll second it.
I got a multiple seconds. Deb, you pick. We're gonna need a roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker, Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes.
And Mr. Haynes?
Yeah.
Meeting's open. Let me just read the advertisement here. 7:30 p.m. remotely conducted public hearing and joint meeting with the Rockland Planning Board will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, September 13, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Two Buds LLC, 1 Liberty Square, Suite 410, Boston, Massachusetts, for a special permit pursuant to zoning bylaws, section 415-19C19, marijuana establishment pursuant to section 415-38.5 and section 415-38.5, marijuana establishment, to allow applicant to redevelop one parcel of land to consist of an approximate 300 square feet addition to the existing building totaling 36,662 square feet, and additional site improvements such as site regrading, landscaping, new paved walkways and ramps, associated parking, and installation of supporting utilities to operate an adult use marijuana establishment engaged in the retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products at the premises known as and numbered 53 Airport Park Drive, Rockland, Massachusetts. The property is located in the H1 Industrial Park Zone, section 415-19 of the bylaw, and is further identified as Lot 5, Map 8 on the Rockland Assessors Maps. The owner of the property is JJBB Inc., 53 Air Station Industrial Park, Rockland, Massachusetts. The Rockland Planning Board will be considering site plan approval pursuant to its authority under the zoning bylaws, section 415-58 and 415-59. Further details and plans for this project are on file with the town clerk and zoning board's office and may be viewed on the town's website, www.rockland-mass.gov. All right, at this point, because we know that the planning board does not have a quorum for the evening, I would entertain a motion to have the planning board kind of step forward, open their meeting, and do what they have to do, just so we can get them out of here. I think I heard Mr. Baker Jr. give the motion. I still can't hear you, sir.
I actually coughed, but I'll take that as the motion.
All right, we're gonna make that motion. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
I got a second from Mr. Haynes. We're gonna need a roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes.
And Mr. Haynes. And just so everybody knows, in that order, that's who's voting on tonight's zoning board meeting. With that, I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Michael Corbett of the Planning Board. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Rob.
we had a cancellation, so at last minute, so we do not have a quorum, so we cannot officially open, but I was just joining in. So if the public there is waiting to hear from us, there's really nothing to talk about today, unfortunately. So we are going to schedule them for our next meeting, if that is okay with them, for September 27th.
Grover, do you have any problems with that?
No, we're fine on the 27th. Thank you.
You know, I apologize for the late delay, you know, but we've got last minute cancellation, so we don't have a quorum. So
As I said, as I talked to Christine earlier today, it's called life. Life happens. So, you know, it is what it is. And this has happened to the zoning board in the past too. So I don't see that there should be no issues. So again, if you guys want to check out, cool. If you want to hang, listen to the meeting. Again, there's no issue here because in the grand scheme of things, they really can't do anything until the appeal period's over. So, you know, they would have to technically wait until the appeal period's over to really do anything. We were just trying to condense it all, but I mean, at this point, not a big deal. So again, if you want to hang in the background, cool. If not, we'll see you. We'll see you around town.
all right. Thank you, Rob.
Not a problem.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see y'all. All right, with that, what I'd like to do is let's see, who do we got here? Grover, who's kind of gonna spearhead, you know, this meeting?
I am, Rob.
All right.
I have a prepared statement to make, if that's okay.
No, that's absolutely fine. Just answer me one question. Are any
Yes,
changes?
no changes,
None at all?
none at all.
All right. Hopefully that kind of answers most of the questions that everybody's gonna have, but please work with your presentation.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for the meeting this evening. We appreciate the board's time. I'm here this evening with Jill Sparks from Two Buds team, Mark Rochette from Rochette Consulting. I saw Kirsten's online from Ron Mueller and Associates, and John Shellington, the owner of the building as well. As you know, the zoning board meeting pertains to our request for a special permit for a recreational marijuana establishment that was previously granted in 2020. Primarily due to COVID-19 construction and funding delays, the approved zoning decision dated May 13th, 2020, along with the town's certification of no appeals, was never filed and recorded with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds. The proposed renovations at 53 Air Station Industrial Drive for the special permit pertaining to section 415-38.5 and section 415-19 of the zoning bylaw to operate a marijuana establishment in the H1 Industrial Park Hotel Zoning District are exactly as before. To be clear, there are no changes to the project and the plans, nor to the zoning conditions that were previously approved. We intend to file and record the day we receive the certification from the town clerk. I'd like to highlight a few areas from the previous plan. Per section 415-35, we are required to provide 19 total parking spaces. We're providing 40. The 18 parking spaces, including 2 accessible spaces, will be along the south of the building with a new 4-foot paved walkway for retail use, and the 22 additional spaces, including a 3rd accessible space to the west. There is no off-site parking. To enhance the safety of vehicle and pedestrian circulation on site, we will stripe and provide signage for loading areas, stripe the road and place a fence on the southern boundary of the property that abuts the private way, and place a split rail wooden fence along the east property line while maintaining the paved area adjacent to the building for fire department access. Finally, Two Buds has received updated approvals from Lieutenant Zioli from the Rockland Police Department on August 8th, and Crystal Cameron, Superintendent of the Abington and Rockland Water Works, on August 22nd. those two letters are included in our application submissions. We're happy to answer any questions at this time.
Mr. Daniels, I want to turn this over to Mr. Shoemaker with Mackenzie. What's going on, Eric?
Hi, how are you, Mr. Rosa?
Not too bad. I just wanted to ask you real quick. Have you had to make any modifications to the plans?
No modifications have been made since this was last presented to the planning board.
That's all I wanted to hear. I'm going to open this up to the board at this point for questions. Mr. Tanzi?
I don't have any questions at this point.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Baker Senior?
Only one. Where do the roof drains go? Do they come just off the building and onto the driveway?
Eric, Mr. Shoemaker, can you answer that question?
Yep, so I believe the roof drains go into that swale in the backyard. The rear portion goes into the swale in the backyard, and that's what we modeled in HydroCAD. So we decrease the flow. The flow which is received by that swale kind of on the right side of the building, the plan right side. I believe the roof drain for the front portion ends up in a gutter downspout system and runs into the parking area as it did in the pre-development condition.
That's all I had.
Baker. Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker Senior, you good?
Yep, that's all I
Mr.
had.
Baker, Mr. Baker Junior, you have anything?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Haynes?
I just wanted to ask a point of clarification, if that's okay.
Oh, please.
I noted in the decision that you were going to the planning board after our decision was taking place. So I just wondered if you actually had that meeting with the planning board after the zoning decision was made.
Grover, do you have the planning board decision and the date on that?
Yes, the planning board, the first planning board decision, hold on just for a second.
It was, Grover's Mark.
Hey, Mark.
The decision of the hearing on that was, the final date of the decision was June 19th, 2020.
Thank
And
you.
it was, decision was approved on June 11th, 2020.
Nice.
5-0, all in favor, unanimous to approve. They approved that, site plan design.
It was the approval site plan as designed. Were there any conditions or changes that they asked for?
They just followed with the following conditions. They attached the ZBA decision on the conditions with what was previously approved.
So there were no requests for any additional changes to the site plan.
No requests from the planning board. They just deferred to do conditions that the zoning board on the final conditions were. That's it.
Terrific. Thank you. That's all I had.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Thank you, Mr. Rochette. Mr. Galley, talk to me, sir. Oh, you weren't prepared. Now you're not. Now your microphone's not on. Well, turn it off. Unmute. Unmute. This is what happens when you change locations. I still can't hear you, sir.
Sorry,
There you go.
sorry. I changed the screen and then I was going the wrong place. No, thank you. I don't have any questions at this time.
I appreciate that. Nicole, can I have your last name again? I'm so sorry.
Clement Gomez, but you can.
Clement Gomez. Ms.
It's a
Clement
little-
Gomez, do you have any comment? Do you have any comments or questions for the applicant?
No, I don't. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. At this point, I'm going to look to the audience to see if anybody has any questions or any comments. Seeing none, positive or negative. Let's talk. Board members, do you have, oops, somebody's doing something. That's not me.
Reviewing Matt R. screen.
Who's Matt? Who? Uh-oh.
Someone's stuck in there.
Matter.
Who is that? Who's doing that?
Whoever's the host should be able to override that. Rob.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. One particular time. Can I? Who is that?
I don't know.
Who's Matt? Hold on.
He is not with our team.
He's not with your team. All right, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, this guy, Matt Hart. What are you doing, dude? See ya.
Was he muted?
I don't know, but he's gone now.
There you go.
That's how I handle things here. So, all right. I'm assuming he had nothing to do with your team, Grover? Okay, that's fine.
He did
So I
not.
apologize. I apologize for that happening, everybody. So again, I go to the zoning board. Does everybody feel that they have enough information to make a decision tonight?
Yes.
I do.
And close the public hearing?
Yeah.
Motion to close the public hearing.
I got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior?
Is a yes.
And Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
All right, rock and roll. Give me 2 seconds. I have to find my cheat sheet. Still don't know why I don't have this memorized yet. Hearing none, close the. All right. Mr. Daniels, the board will deliberate tonight and you are welcome to stay. You will receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp, 21 days from the date stamp on the decision. Go to the town clerk's office, request a certificate of no appeal. And if no one has appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Here's the big one. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. All right, that's it. Who wants to open up here and talk about what we want to do here?
What decision, what conditions are we working on?
Deb, do you have a copy of the original decisions with the conditions that you can probably maybe put up on the screen?
She did send it in the packet.
Yeah, it would be cool if we could have it on the screen. That way,
Right.
Mr. Daniels and his team members could actually see this. I'm assuming Nicole maybe has a copy of it, but just in case, it'd be nice to just kind of go over it. Just to make sure nobody has any questions or issues.
So I don't know how to put it up on the screen.
You have it on your computer?
Yeah, you want me to email it to you?
Nope. If you go down low where it says, if you go down low and the bar will come up where it says in green, share screen,
Okay,
click that. And then you get like another window that says, what do you want to share? And then it's just whatever the document is.
Matt R. was signed on. He could have explained how to do it.
Yeah.
Well played, Mr. Galley. Well played. Something's happening.
That's me.
Good.
Okay, you got it?
We've got your email.
Do you have the decision open?
I can't open the decision. It's
Oh,
because
do you-
we're looking at your screen.
Do you see it open?
Nope.
No.
Can you just click on it, Deb?
That's what I'm trying to do, because I see it on my screen.
When you do the screen share, you have to share the open PDF, not the.
The open document.
Is it there? No,
You need to share by application and do your PDF viewer.
the document itself.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so just go.
Sorry about that, Deb.
That's all right. Let me just pull it up from my document.
It's a learning experience for everybody. At least sometimes it has to be. So.
All right, wait a second. Do you see that?
Got nothing. You're not sharing your screen. Now we got your desktop.
Okay, so let me just open the document and. Do you see the list there?
Yep.
All right, let me just. Now, do you see it?
Got it.
All right.
You want to hit the, if you want to maximize the screen. Perfect. Okay. Can you kind of, yeah, there you go. Keep going down to the.
Want to go down to the conditions?
Yeah.
Go.
There should be no problem. Through. So far, I'm good. I mean, these are the staple conditions that we would need.
Go down.
Yep. Facility appearance of no spoiling there shall be no loitering. 3 months after access to premises may be granted without requirement of being one only. After 3 months, will review the special permit. If cannabis and cannabis product deliveries shall be made to the rear of the bill, overnight parking, for at least the first 3 months of operation, as long thereafter as deemed necessary by the Rockland Supervisor will employ at its cost and expense police details in areas designated by the Rockland Police Department in front of the facility to control and direct traffic. Again, that's something that was here. Does everybody want to keep that in? I think it's probably necessary, even though we know that now there's ways to combat this. I think it's necessary to keep that in there. Does anybody have any problems with that?
I'm in favor of just leaving it as is.
Same.
Unless the applicants ask for some changes, we'll just keep everything.
And again, Mr. Daniels, I'm going to come back to you one last time. You're not asking for any modification whatsoever, correct?
Rob, I've reviewed the conditions several times before the meeting. There are no changes to the plan or the conditions.
All right, Deb, you want to keep going?
Yeah, I have a question though. Go back up on number 5.
Yep.
The appearance of a medical office.
Yep.
Leave it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So on number 4, can I just go up a little bit?
Yep.
You want to leave number 4 as it is with the RMD language?
That's the only thing I'd probably, I think that was a typo.
Shall not utilize it. All signage must use the provisions, state regulations for RMDs with respect to signage included that signs shall not utilize graphics related to I mean, that's kind of staple no matter what we do. We don't want pot leaves or anything.
I think the typo though is the RMD, and I could be mistaken, smart speaking.
Isn't it recreational?
Yes.
It's recreational. I think that was a typo and overlap.
Yeah, it's adult use. So
the recreational.
Yeah, so that would be the only kind of grammatical change there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
on number 4,
Yep.
I'd like to add no banner flags on the property or at the entrance of Airport Drive, Park, and Weymouth Street.
I hear where you're going. Yeah, I hear where you're going with this. It's up to the board. I could go either way on it. Because if he's allowed by the building department to be able to put those kind of banner flags on his property, as long as they work within the bylaw and they're approved by the building inspector, I think that should be allowed, as long as they follow the guidelines for marijuana establishments and what they can and can't put on those banners. At the head of Airport Park Drive, that I'm in favor of. There shouldn't be any additional signage off the property.
All right, well, no banner flags at to be displayed at Weymouth Street and VFW Drive for this business.
Board members, how do you feel about that? I can get behind that.
Are they actually even allowed? I mean, they're not, it's, you're putting into language something that's like saying there won't be any of something that's not allowed, right?
They are allowed with for 60 days once a year. But they're popping up all over town. And I think this is a way to just say we're not going to allow it for this business.
Basically not allowing, let me just put everybody, so I look like I'm looking at everybody. There we go. So basically to not allow any sign and any signage off the property. Is that
Off
it?
the property.
That's what you're kind of, okay. Mr. Galley, I see you raising your hand, sir.
I thought, I don't know if it was Health Circle. I thought they had a question about a temporary flag, banner, sign that, you know, there was a limit for them to have it, and they were a marijuana business. That wasn't, didn't they have something like that?
That's kind of where he's coming from. What happened with that was they had, for some reason, they got these weird, those weirdo banner flags and put it at the head of Commerce Drive, which they didn't have the right to do anyway. So then somebody called and he pulled them back and put them on his own property, went to go get a permit for it. And the building inspector looked at the signs and felt that it was going against, like, the content of the signs was going against the bylaw because it had the word marijuana on it.
Canterbury.
Or was it cannabis or whatever it was? It
Cannabis.
said something on it that violated.
I also thought it was a question of them having a flag type sign or banner, and it was only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time.
Right. It can be
seated.
Yep, it can be a temporary thing, but he would have to get permits for that. He would have to get permits for that, and if it didn't meet the bylaw, he'd have to come to the zoning board and get a variance for it. So like Tim was saying, it sounds like are we prohibiting something that's already prohibited, or are we going to prohibit something for him that was allowed for others? No, it's not allowed for anybody.
Okay, so then we would be redundant to prohibit it?
He could display them on his property. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But he can't display them off his property. That's all I'm saying.
But that goes without
Well, not
saying for any business,
anyway.
whether it's marijuana or not.
Right.
So again, it's kind of a redundant situation.
Yeah.
Does it need to be stated a second time? I don't know. I can get behind it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be stated. But I know what you're trying to, Mr. Baker, I know what you're trying to avoid. I do know what you're trying to avoid. So board members, if we want to keep it, if we want to modify it to say no signs off the property, we can say that.
Well, how about number 4? We can amend that to all signage must adhere to all provisions of state and local regulations with respect to signage. That covers that.
I like that.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, everybody happy with that?
Sure.
I'll take that as a yes. Deb, you good with that?
Got it.
Got it. All right, where did we leave off and go backwards?
So we're on number 14.
All right, number 14. 14, there it is. For at least the first 3 months, or as long as deemed necessary, the building inspector to budget will employ a parking lot attendant. That's a definite. 2 buds will distribute information to all customers visiting the facility, informing them of the parking and traffic policies, the prohibition of the product used to. Okay, yep, that's it. On-site security shall be present during business hours and contact information for such personnel. That's fine. Shall provide fencing. Hours of operation shall not be outside of that. I'm good. Does anybody, the board members, does anybody else have anything to add?
On 18, Rob.
Yep.
The other retailers in town, did we give them more holidays they couldn't be open than Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yeah, Canavana They can't be open on New Year's Day.
Let's try and stay consistent.
Well, I don't think it'd be fair to them that this place could be open New Year's, but they
No,
could.
I absolutely agree. And we're trying to work with the consistency on this. So that's gonna, that I can get behind. Mr. Baird, I can get that, I can get behind on that one. Deb, you got something?
So, up on Hingham Street though, they don't have that requirement to be closed on New Year's Day.
No. If Canavan, the other way to look at it is, if Canavana hasn't asked, well, then
They can come back to us.
they can come back to us. So the consistency then will be going forward that the last one that we approved and this one, those are the two dates that they can't be open, right? Thanksgiving and Christmas. I would say, let's leave it at that then. All right, I would add that that'll be the consistency.
And then the hour, I think the hours for Hingham Street and the other ones are 8 to 8.
Guarantees.
Hingham Street, he has recreational only. He's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7 on Sunday. And then Canavana on the website, they have 10 to 9 Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7:30 on Sunday.
All right, so let's modify 18. The first and foremost thing, we're going to take out the medical marijuana end of it. Because they're not going to be an RMD. So we're going to take that end of it out of it. And if it's 8 to 9, Deb, give me the 1015 Hingham Street one again. What were those times?
10:15 Hingham Street, he's got 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay. Do you have Canavanas in front of you?
Canavana, according to their website, is 10 to 9 Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7:30 on Sunday.
Okay, and this is up to because it's the recreational, it's up to us. We can set the hours for operation.
I don't have a problem with the 8 a.m. because the other people chose to not open at 8, but only open at 10.
Okay.
But the 9 o'clock Monday through Saturday, and I'd say 9 to 8 on Sundays. And then if the other ones want to come and ask for modifications to their hours, I think we got to kind of set some guidelines for the hours and the days of opening.
Oh, that's understood. Anybody else? Does anybody else have any opinion on this? I have no problem going with what Mr. Baker said.
I agree.
We got Mr. Baker Jr., Mr. Haynes. Any issues with Mr. Baker's hours?
I feel like we've had this discussion in the Hingham Street, and I'm in the camp of they should be open at the hours they want to be open, and I think we decided, as a board, it's our, having some consistency is our prerogative. So I'm okay with consistency.
All right, consistency. So, Deb, tell me what 1015 Hingham Street again was.
They have 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7 on Sunday.
That's the last one that we approved.
Now, next week, Health Circle's coming before the board to request a change of hours.
For the same hours that 1015 Hingham Street has.
What they're requesting for recreational is 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday, 9 to 8 on Sunday. So same during the week, but, different.
Longer on the weekend?
Longer on Sunday, yeah, an hour earlier open and an hour later close. And Canavana has 10 AM to 7:30 on Sundays.
I can't remember if that was their request or
That was their
our direction.
I believe that was their request, 10 o'clock in the morning. 7:30. I think we should follow the hours that we approved for the Hingham Street one.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just keep that. And then again, the other one's gonna come back. I'm not worried about it. So let's only talk about 2 buds tonight. So Mr. Baker, talk to me about hours.
Whatever the 1099, but
10:15.
Street one was.
Yeah,
What
state
about-
those hours one last time for that 10:15, the last one we approved.
Okay, so it is Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9,
Okay.
and Sunday, 10 to 7.
Grover, do you have any issue with that?
We went to 8 for customers that wanted to come in early. So the only reason we went to 8 was to respond to what we were hearing. But I understand the boards. So we can do 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and 10 to 7 on Sunday, but we did 8 for a reason. So I know that we're striving for consistency, but that's why we did it. And we would still like to do it, but we understand the board's position. If consistency matters.
Consistency, we're trying to get to the point where everything's consistent. In the end, if it really comes down to it and you do see people wanting to get in early, you can always come back to us and request a modification to open an hour earlier. So, Mr. Haynes, you good with that?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And maybe we've got a lot of revisiting, provisions in here. And maybe something the board could think about is we've got a number of people who are coming back to sort of revisit their approvals, and maybe we could think more, about this in a meeting and sort of offer the same hours to everybody and sort of make it consistent. And I think that would be good for those people as well. So I'm okay if the applicant is okay with those hours. Let's also agree that we can talk about it at our future 3-month meeting.
Yep. So revisit and basically revisit it in 3 months, and if the request is made, then we'll deal with it at that point.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. Anybody else have anything to say? That was the last one. That was the last condition that we had to work with. I would entertain a motion to approve with conditions as revised.
So this one's a findings. So do we want to so in order to make the approval, we do the findings. And so we can just review the next that final paragraph, because that's actually what we're going to.
Oh yeah, actually, you're right. You're right. You're 100%. Deb, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, sorry.
The next page.
Right here.
It's up. In the decision to approve, based on the fact as conditioned, that the marijuana establishment is designed to minimize any adverse visual or economic impacts on abutters and other parties in interest, as defined, is not located in any prohibited area or within the exclusion zones, is in harmony with intent and purpose of the zoning, and the applicant has clearly demonstrated that it will meet all the permitting requirements of all applicable agencies within the Commonwealth, and is in compliance with all applicable state and local laws and regulations, and that the applicant has satisfied all of the conditions and requirements of these zoning bylaws.
Are you gonna put that in as a motion?
So I make a motion that we approve based on those findings.
Okay, I have a motion. Mr. Baker Senior, I heard second. Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Senior? Okay, that was a second. Mr. Tanzi, now it's a roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior?
Yes.
Rock and roll. It. Deb, you'll have that modified relatively soon, I'm assuming, and you still have the Word document for that, correct?
No, I don't.
Don't have the Word document.
Not for this one, no.
Really? Let's see what I got. Oh,
It's filed May 13th, 2020.
yeah, and everything I have is after that. Yeah, everything I have is, oh, no, actually, wait a second. No, it's different. Hold on. Let's see. Let me just make sure I don't have it. All right, well, again, regardless, we'll get that done reasonably quick. And
Rob, can I hate to do this, can I just bring something up, just so I'm on the record for it? When we
Yeah.
originally went through this, there was a conversation about appointment only, which is the part of the 3-month review.
Mhm.
And the time has since passed and no one's doing by appointment only. So I just want to make sure that we're not, in the spirit of consistency, Two Buds doesn't end up with an appointment only scenario if the others don't have appointment only.
Deb, can you look in that and see where that says on the conditions?
Number 9.
Number 9.
Oh, you want to go back there? Let me just.
Yeah, just scroll up to number 9 so we can just review that and modify as necessary. You want to appointment only on after that date, the applicant will review the prior business operator shall the right to impose such in its judgment, such a condition is required to mitigate against the negative traffic and pedestrian safety impacts of the proposed use. I would have no problem taking out the initial appointment only, but the applicant shall review the prior business operations with the zoning board of appeals. And the zoning board of appeals shall have the right to impose such a condition if, in its judgment, such a condition is required to mitigate against the negative traffic and pedestrian safety. I would take out the appointment only for the start, and then at the first review, if we feel that there's an issue, then we may have to talk about it. But, you know, as you said, pretty much everybody else has has gone away with the appointment only situation. So we'll let it roll. I think we should let it roll, but keep it in there in case something becomes a problem.
Okay, so Rob, this is Mark.
Yeah.
If I may speak to the effect with Grover and his comment and request. So thank you very much to not enforce that as a condition to start out and to revisit that at a later date if you guys feel there is a negative traffic impact.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, and it's in the grand scheme of things, you guys are going to be, you got a 3-month test window. If something goes wrong and we have to impose that, then that's something that we're going to have to look at. But I think at this point we're doing okay.
Yep. So yeah, we can basically reverse the startup of enforcing the appointment only and just go right around that. And then if you need to, after the first 3 months, then impose that by appointment only.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would say. Board members, do you have any issues there?
No.
My biggest issue is we closed the public portion of the hearing, and
I hear you.
and
I
we
hear
shouldn't
you.
even be having this conversation with the applicants.
I hear you.
So from a logistics perspective, I feel like we have to I don't know what the logistics are. If we have to reopen the public portion of the hearing to have this conversation, that there is actually going to be a change. And, but without Galvin here, I don't know how you feel about this, Rob. There's some logistics that are just from a, we should probably take into consideration.
If
I think we would have to withdraw our motions and seconds and then,
Either that or the applicant can appeal it within 10 days.
Well, if it's gonna, this is Mark speaking, then we'll redact it and leave that be the way it's worded. Grover, is that okay with you at this point?
Yeah, the, what I think is appropriate is that we've been approved as is. The changes that they wanted to make, they made, and we'll go silent on it, and we're gonna see them in 3 months anyway, when we come together.
So we'll redact that request, just give it no change to what we've already discussed. So
All right, so basically what we're saying is you guys didn't talk about anything. So that's how that works. Number 9 stays as is. Mr. Haynes, you good?
I'm good. I'm again, again, this is a public meeting thing. So I think if we're done voting and we're just going to move on, great. If we were going to revisit and reopen, I think we just would have to have a firm understanding of what our motions and our process was to go back to that point. So remember, so I'm okay if we're just moving on.
All right, moving on. So do we have, remind me?
We voted and
We've got the
we're done.
motion, we've got the second, we're done, correct?
That's correct.
you gotta do a roll call.
We'll,
All right, we got the motion, we got the second, roll call. I think we already did this, but we'll do it again. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
yes.
Mr. Baker Junior?
Yes.
Done. I'll leave it as is with the modifications as made, and then we go for it. All right. Anybody, Mr. Daniels, that's it. So we should be all good. As soon as the planning board meeting is set, just go through that. They'll have our decision by that time, and we'll just go for it.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the board's willingness and meeting this evening. And
Not a problem. Absolutely not a problem. All right, let me go back to the agenda. We had, let's see, what's next? Non-deliberative announcements and scheduling. Deb, do you have anything to talk about?
Unless you want to talk about scheduling, I have no comments.
We're gonna wait. We're gonna hold off on scheduling at this point. Approval of minutes.
I
Did
did
everybody-
not, I did not get the revised minutes back,
From,
Attorney Galvin.
well, that means he didn't have any revisions.
Well, or
I'm gonna-
he didn't see them. I don't know that.
Oh, I'm gonna leave it as he didn't.
we're gonna sign off. Thank
Yes,
you
please
so
go.
much,
I'm
everybody.
sorry. I should have said you guys can take off. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, board. Have a great evening.
You also. All right, so in the grand scheme of things, and if he hasn't gotten back to anything, and I didn't see any issues. Did anybody else see any issues with the?
I didn't email them.
None of us have meeting minutes,
I did.
so we can't talk about them. There's nothing. We can,
Okay, so let's not talk about them. Anything else to talk about?
Well, could we, at a later at a meeting where we don't have a lot on, could we put on the meeting to talk about some bylaw changes?
Oh, absolutely. Deb has at this point, a list, a good solid list that we've been talking about. If anybody has anything, email them to Deb. She can put them on the list, and then we're definitely we can talk about that under Non-deliver, no, it would have to be, it would have to be on there. It would have to be a part of the,
We'll add it as a discussion item.
yeah, it can be added in as a discussion item. So anybody that has any changes that they want to see to the bylaw, email them to Deb. She's gonna put them in, she's gonna update the list that she and I already have going, and we'll make that happen.
I think those banner flags, we gotta do something with them. They're flying all over the place. They're flying.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. It still comes down to do they fall under something that's already approved, that can already get a sign permit? You know what I mean? Are they in the bylaw currently? So is it modifying something that's already in there, or is it removing something?
We'd have to ask Bob Galvin.
Yeah, hey, well, I'd rather ask Tom Rubin, because he's the one who has to enforce these things. If he wants that, if he's okay with them in there, okay. If there's permittable criteria for those banner flags, meaning square footage and height and all that stuff. Oh, if it's already in there, we'd have to remove
anything that in there, but I know they can be up for 60 days once a year.
Okay.
But it doesn't say how many. If you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, because sometimes you go by the mobile station, it looks like Flag Day out there.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, could we perhaps put off the specifics of the discussion until it's actually on the agenda?
Mr. Baker Jr., I agree with you 100%. Mr. Baker Senior, put all of that in some sort of document and just email it to Deb.
Okay.
Rock and roll. What else we got? Anything?
Motion adjourned.
I got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes.
Get out of here.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for joining the board. Thank you for taking the time out of your night to see this mess.
Happy to have joined.
No, it's we
Welcome.
need
Glad to have you.
yeah, absolutely glad to have you. We do need the members, so.